were put to the back of the grid by the stewards for passing underneath the yellow flag in the official qualifying this morning. So that means that the 3 hotshots will have to make their way right from the back of this 24-car grid to try and get up near their other man in second place on the champion. They're going now on the green flag lap. That's to warm up the tyres and get everything working. So Johnson in that happy position on the grid. But the interesting point as well is that there are 8 drivers within a half a second of each other from the outside of the front row all the way back to the 4th row. And this is your grid for the first race here, the Fiat Challenge. Johnson on pole position. In the middle of the front row, Declan Murray, all in Ritmo. Joe Foley on the outside. The second row there, Dermot Carroll, David Hammond. Third row, a 3-car row, Ray Kellett, Gary Graham and Warren McAllister. Then we've Bob Jolly and John Donoghue. The next row, a 3-car grid again. Tony Curley, Mark Cuff and Chris Tormey. Back to Tommy Byrne, Jonathan Williams, a visitor from the UK. And on the back row there, you've seen the men that will have it all to do. Brian Flanagan, Austin Bishop and Christy Connolly. This could make for some interesting racing, Alan.
Tremendous stuff, and it really is low-cost racing, because you could probably kit yourself out with one of these cars in complete race trim for about £3,000, and that means that very heavily governed to make sure that nobody sort of bends the engine a little bit, and very closely scrutinized, and great camaraderie amongst all the Fiats, or Fiatnams as they're affectionately called, because they certainly go at it, as you will see in a minute or two when we start here at Mondello Park. Just to remind you, Alan Johnson then, ex-kartist, on pole position. Declan Murray will be alongside him, and then Joe Foley. But the men we will be looking out for as they start their second warm-up lap will be the 3 at the back of the grid. Number 43, Brian Flanagan. Number 11, Austin Bishop, a highly experienced man, again an ex-kartist, and number 41, Christy Connolly. So there we are. Let us take you around the circuit just to get you familiar with that. They're going around Airsell at the moment. Then the left-hander is Castrol. Then they go out quite a long straight, out one of the fastest parts of the circuit, right up through the gears. And this very, very tricky corner that'll there be coming to shortly now, Budweiser. It's a sort of double apex bend. You really ignore the first part of the corner. You try and get your car in for the second part. And while you're doing all this, you've got to scrub off an awful lot of speed, go down into second gear, and then there's quite a rise out of that corner as they come out of there and up over the top of the hill.
And over the top of the hill, another short straight where in the Fiats they would hold flat third gear. These little Fiats revving up to 8,000 revs as they come into the first part of the S's. This is down into second gear again for the Subaru, the first part of the S's, and then they've got to get over to the left-hand side of the track as much as possible for the sharp right-hander, which just follows this at the complex. They're coming through that right-hander there. You can see them in a dip in the circuit here and then up the hill, and their braking point is halfway up the hill. The Fiat's braking between the 100-yard mark and the 50-yard mark, and a very, very tight hairpin there. And then they come back out onto the main straight. But this is their warm-up lap. They'll be coming down now to everybody a little nervous, especially with the television cameras here, getting in line. Remember the back of the grid, the very quick men, but Alan Johnson at the moment, his pole position time was 1 minute 14.2 seconds, and beside him Declan Murray in a time of 1 minute 14.95, so only 0.73 of a second between first and second men. But then the interesting one is Joe Foley on the outside of the front row at 1:15.55, and if you go back to the 5th row, a time of 1 minute 16 seconds, so less than half a second between 8 cars, and these will be the moving blockage for the 3 quick men to try and get up from the back, because when you have 8 cars only split by half a second, this is going to make life very, very difficult indeed. That's pole man Alan Johnson, the Irish fencing car, second in the Phoenix Park 2 weeks ago, almost made it. Hands up from Stuart Ferguson. They're ready to go. 5 seconds is the time. We're watching to see how the jump starts. Any jump starts will be penalising. A very good start from our pole position man, Alan Johnson, on the inside. And from the outside of the front row, Joe Foley making a good start there as well. But Alan Johnson holding that all-important inside line. There's Joe Foley, number 22, an excellent start from him. 1 or 2 off onto the dust there. A spinner getting out onto the loose. That is Mark Cuff there in the Marks model car, really doing some agricultural work, but it's Alan Johnson. Alan Johnson by a couple of car lengths as they come down for the first time into this double apex. You can see just how close those 8 cars there in the background that were covered by that half second.
Absolutely, and the problem that the quick ones had in the back, we just see number 91 going through picture there, but here are the leaders, and 37 has spun off. That is, just checking, Tony Curley, the man who came into racing very late in life, and I'm afraid he's ended his race rather suddenly. This is the battle for second place, and that's Joe Foley in second place, being harrowed there by Declan Murray. And look at the break that Alan Johnson guy has. That's very impressive indeed.
Yes, all important to get that break. Joe Foley there coming up the hill to Barham, holding that inside line to protect it, but you can see the battle that's going on in the background. Unfortunately, Curley just got it all wrong in the middle of that double apex. Johnson at the moment pulling away there, nobody to interfere with him. He can use the fastest lines on the track, and you can see now right out, turning in that little bit late front wheel drive cars, and Foley again trying to hold that inside line from Declan Murray, and all the time these two are battling away, they'll actually be slowing each other down a little. So this will give Alan Johnson, won't make for a good race for Alan, but he'll enjoy being out there. But at this stage you've got to keep on concentrating. You can see the battle now really beginning to tighten up with each other, and at the moment Foley seems to have a slight advantage.
So it's Joe Foley, Declan Murray, then it's very close indeed, because we've got David Hammond in there, and then Dermot Carroll, and they're all right together. But way out ahead at the moment, Alan Johnson. We don't often see a lead like this in a Fiat race. It's quite incredible. Joe Foley's made that slight break. Declan Murray being very, very harried there by David Hammond, and then the whole of the rest of them come streaming through. It'll take a few laps before we expect to see those danger men 43, 11 and 41 coming up through the lap charts.
Yes, you can see everybody diving for that inside line to try and do a little bit of an out-braking there, and David Hammond from the second row of the grid and Dermot Carroll really fighting it out, but side by side as they get onto the Dunlop straight here. But Dermot, at the moment, Declan Murray has got up into second place, so Joe Foley being demoted into third place. So Declan Murray now our new second place man as they come in. Oh, and he's put it on its roof. Just got it up there onto the curb, just turned in that little bit too soon and just got it up on 2 wheels. And I know that sensation because I've done that myself. If you come in too tight there, the curb is fairly high, you're on full throttle just to get out, and it launches the car into a nice slow motion roll. But that hasn't affected the leader position. And there he is, Alan Johnson, on his way down to the S's with an extremely good lead for a Fiat race. Unfortunately, our 3 quick men were bumped off the front row because of their little indiscretion this morning. Third place man there, 22, Joe Foley from the front row of the grid.
That's David Hammond, number 2, you see there in your picture at the moment. But we're looking out for number 41, Christy Connolly, was in 7th place sensationally after the first lap, right from the back of the grid. Number 41 then, Christy Connolly, really making progress through the field. And we reckon he could be up another place now. We're just checking that as we go past.
There's Connolly there, just gone through in the red Ritmo. 41 in 7th place in the all red Ritmo. Coming through in that superb move there. Getting it really, really turned in very, very late indeed.
And he's now in 5th place, Christy Connolly. So this is a real danger man for the front runners. We're looking at 3rd, 4th and 5th. And there is the car, the all-red car, in 3rd place, the head of this group. And that is sensational progress from the back of the grid. Just behind him, number 6 there, Dermot Carroll, who's one of the people who's been demoted by this fast-moving Connolly.
You can see that Dermot Carroll is actually on the 2nd row of the grid, and Connolly has already got through. He started 24th on the grid and now up into 5th place, and he's sitting on the back bumper of David Hammond's car. So a superb drive so far, but our leader Alan Johnson still pulling through. Now this is the battle, the all-important battle for the first 3 places. Remember, the championship is all at stake. Alan Johnson was sharing 2nd place. Having a look at the inside of David Hammond's car there, that is David Hammond in the black and red car, just holding off Connolly at the moment.
So just to remind you, it's Alan Johnson with 4 laps completed. In second place, Declan Murray, then Joe Foley, then David Hammond, only just from Christy Connolly. Another challenge on the outside there of Airsell, and he can't afford to leave it too wide because Dermot Carroll is there to pick up the pieces if anything should go wrong.
Yes, went very, very late on the brakes, down the outside to get the quick line, just got the car nicely turned in. You can see him in the background there beginning to harry David Hammond, getting out a little bit wider, hoping to turn up the hill on the inside. Yes, did the nudging match there, he just turned in that little bit early. And number 6, Dermot Carroll there getting up alongside him, but the next one is a left-hander, and Connolly should have the advantage and go in a little bit deeper. On the outside it's the long way round, but you can see that little mistake there, just tried to get around the back of Hammond and just caught the bumper, and that unsteadied him and let him come under pressure from Dermot Carroll, as Alan said, who's not going to give up this 5th place at the moment.
So there's 3rd car, there's 4th car, and there's the one we're watching, number 41 in 5th place. And of course, very much according to his lap times in practice, it has been relatively easy to pick off those guys as he came through the field up to this, but now he's fighting with a man who did a very similar practice time to him. So it obviously gets very difficult indeed, and really no line being given, no opening being given at the moment, as number 2, David Hammond, very much protects his line. But of course, in doing this, he's falling back from the 3rd place man there, Joe Foley. And Foley just can't seem to get rid of this buzzing mob behind him, but the man under real pressure is David Hammond, number 2. There's Christy Connolly, number 41, and then of course, right behind him, Dermot Carroll.
Yes, superb. Up over the hill from Budweiser, down this short straight. Again, David Hammond having to protect that inside line. And at this stage, Foley there being able to take the wide line in front, holding on to that 3rd place, but a superb dice there. 1st and 2nd man, Johnson just going through. 2nd place man there, Murray getting through, and then everything's happening here. Joe Foley now beginning to come under pressure for that 3rd place. Hammond and Christy Connolly beginning to speed up. You can see the dust in the background as they use all the road and a little bit extra.
The other man in that dice is Warren McAllister. Again, he was well up, he was in the 3rd row of the grid at the start, but he's very much in the hunt there also. And as you say, Brian, 22, Joe Foley, is really in trouble now because this whole group are catching him. Tremendous dice then. Got to remember, this is for 3rd place, way out ahead at the moment. We've got Alan Johnson, who could possibly be humming away "Don't Fence Me In" at the moment, as the Irish fencing car just seems to be cleaning this one up totally. In 2nd place, Declan Murray, also well spaced out ahead, but all the attention, naturally enough, on 3rd place battle, and that time Christy Connolly got it very sideways.
Yes, David Hammond would love to put Joe Foley between himself and Connolly, but that'll give him a little bit of breathing space. He shaked Connolly off that time by getting it sideways down there at Budweiser, but he's got to really close now through the S's and see if he can do anything under braking as they go up the hill. A short run up this hill. You see again Hammond using all the road. He's got to keep an eye on Connolly in case he has a look up the inside. Very, very late that time, Connolly. But the battle still, Foley still holding out there. If the 3 hadn't been demoted, Foley would have been on the 3rd row, I think it is, but he's driving well indeed from the front row. Hammond now having a look at the outside, but that's the long way around the hairpin. But Foley keeping that tight line, and Christy Connolly having a look up the inside again, just catches the tail end of Hammond there, but he's made up that lost ground on that spin, but he's going to try again as they come back down into Budweiser.
Well, there are only 3 laps to go when they complete this lap, so something's got to give. And another gentleman that we're watching the progress of is in fact Brian Flanagan, number 43, who's just behind this bunch, and there he is. He's come from the back row of the grid also, so he's like Christy Connolly, has been making very rapid progress. But Connolly now possibly getting a little bit exhausted with all this physical effort in these motor cars. Front wheel drive, and believe me, it'll be hot and heavy in there, and the mental exhaustion is quite incredible. You're looking, just to remind you, at Joe Foley in 3rd place. There's the 2nd place man just going through our screen at the moment. That's Declan Murray. There's Joe Foley. This is the battle for 3rd, and Christy goes through.
Nice manoeuvre there up the inside, but David Hammond back around the back has actually almost got it back, but superb move from Christy Connolly there, jumped ahead of Dermot Carroll, and it's got up there now, and he is on the tail of Joe Foley. Joe Foley works for Kieran Murphy Motors, who prepares a lot of the Peugeot cars, which we see tomorrow out the 1.9 Peugeot. But at the moment, everybody at the moment looking for that spot, and in fairness to Joe Foley, he's got an experienced man, very experienced man behind him, and he's driving a perfect race.
Christy Connolly looking now very much for third place. And they just couldn't be closer between these two down in Budweiser. They must be always touching their plastic bumpers there at the moment. Joe Foley's got a nice line coming up over the hill, and he has the inside line. No, he has the outside line. He's got to go round the outside there, and that's the long way round. It's going to be very difficult indeed. Christy Connolly there, and he's done it, has he? That's an incredible manoeuvre.
Yes, but he's got to get ready for the right-hander, and Joe, if he doesn't lift, something's got to give. But again, a tremendous manoeuvre from Connolly, and a little bit of bumping there from David Hammond having a look up the inside. He wants to stay there with Connolly. Look how late they are on the brakes, locking the back wheels. Hammond following Connolly through there, and in the background then it was Flanagan in the black and the yellow car who's moved up from the back row of the grid. So Joe Foley at the moment being swallowed up by these quick men, but still holding that outside line. But it's Connolly on the inside, Foley on the outside, touching there, just touching, and watch out for Hammond looking up that inside, and there it is. Superb, a wheel on the grass there, but what driving from Connolly, Alan.
Fabulous stuff, and he's got the little break now. He's on the last lap, and this is real Fiat Nam stuff. Joe Foley, remember, now still in 4th place. Then in 5th place we have number 2, is it David Hammond? And then our other man there, another danger man, Brian Flanagan. Can he make up any more places at this late stage? They're coming up over the hill for the last time.
Listen, Connolly now coming down for the last time into the S's. This is where he pulled that superb manoeuvre where he went all the way around the outside, but that's it. The man who has led from the lights and looks as if he'll lead all the way to the flag. Number 1, the champion from last year, carrying that number 1. This is the battle there for 3rd place. Alan Johnson gets the checkered flag. He didn't do it in the Phoenix Park, but he's done it here at Mondello Park.
Declan Murray coming into 2nd place, and then it should be Christy Connolly in 3rd place, and he's made a little break there. And in 4th place, just going over the line there, Joe Foley. So with that Fiat action from Mondello Park, as an opener, we hand you back to the studio.